Hi, welcome to IAS SHAASHTRA. Today we are going to be practicing, we are going to be doing a practice session on the other passages that are left from the 2020 paper. Okay, let's go with the passages. Okay, yes, let's read. So we have done the last two videos on the previous some passages, right? So we have done 12 passages, 6 each, 2 videos. I hope you have seen. If you have any problem, please let me know. No issues. I'll be helping you and guiding you in any way possible. So let's go with this passage. Okay. India is once among the fastest growing global economies and home to the largest number of malnutritioned children. So our main target today is the malnutrition children. Okay. So at a point of time, India had a large economy, and it was also the home for the malnutrition children. And also because of that, a huge population, around 1.3 million children died before even turning 5 on their birthdays. So, and the children who survived, both their bodies and minds were affected or damaged enough because they did not receive the right amount of food and nutrition. Due to that, a lot of loss happened in the population of India. That makes it harder for them, which actually what happened, if your mind and body gets damaged, obviously you will not be able to study properly at home or at school. You'll be affected, your studies will be affected, you'll be mentally exhausted, and you will not be able to confidently go with the flow with, like your other peers. So that what happened. That is what happened with the section of the student or children who were not completely normal like the other peers. So that is what the author is trying to say, is that in India at a time when it had a large economy and it was a home for a large population of malnourished children, these children, half of them, actually most of them, around 1.3, they died before turning 5. And the ones who survived, they were affected so terribly that they could not go with the flow or lead a normal life ever. So what needs to be done to not, so that such things don't happen in future, are some of these points that we need to select. Okay, let's see what points are there. India's public distribution system should be monitored by the union government. Now this is a scope trap. As I have said in the previous video, if you have seen it, you might be remembering that state government, union government, local government don't follow such points which have such things. Because you know, jab aisa point aayega na, you should be questioning yourself, kyun state union government? Why not state government? State government भी होना चाहिए, right? See, तुम जब IAS or IPS officer होगा ना, when you'll be an IAS and IPS officer, you should be, when you'll be given some instructions or when you'll be getting some information, you'll be questioning, right? कहाँ से है ये information? क्यों हुआ ये? Why this happened? Why that happened? So when you're getting points, why not question yourself at that point of time? Why we should be following the union government? Here nowhere it is written that the union government will be the one solving the problem. Why not the state government? Why not the local government, right? So this point is not correct, we'll cross it out. Let's go with this next point. Girls should be encouraged to delay marriage in first pregnancy, of course. This is a correct point, because the girls should be encouraged to get married at a right age and then get pregnant so that their bodies develop to carry a child that is nutrition, that gets the right nutrition. We all know that. This is the correct point. Next, mothers should be encouraged to breastfeed their children immediately after birth. That is also a right point. We know all that. Let's tick it. Fourth point, the supply of safe drinking water, proper sanitation facilities, all should be ensured. Of course, drinking water, sanitation facilities, all should be ensured so that this malnutrition thing does not happen. Tick it. Fifth point, authorities should ensure vaccination as prescribed. Of course. Vaccination is a mandatory thing which should be ensured for all the children. Right point. So all our answers from 2 to 5 are right, so our correct code is B. Let's go with the next passage. The pulse variety, which are Arahar 16, has the potential to be grown in the paddy growing regions. So this kind of variety, Okay, a particular variety of dal can be grown in the paddy regions, especially of Punjab, Haryana, and Uttar Pradesh, and also all over India. So, and this can be grown in more quantities, like around 2000 kg per hectare, compared to the paddy ones, as they have a uniform size and they are more akin or amenable to the mechanical harvesting, which has become a very attractive thing for the farmers in Punjab or in the northern India region, you can say. And this, there is also a comparison made in the passage between the arhar straw and the paddy straw. What is the comparison made is that the arhar straw are more greener and they can be decomposed, okay, like it said. It's more green and can be plowed back and decomposition can happen. But in the case of paddy, they have high silica content and therefore they cannot be decomposed. Okay, so what happens with the leftover paddy stalks? As they cannot be decomposed, the farmers choose the easiest option of burning it. Okay, simple. Now, let's look at the points and find a right inference. Farmers' income will be higher with pulse cultivation than with paddy cultivation. So now this point is not correct, as here they're saying that pulse is grown in larger scale compared to the paddy one, but they're not saying how much income is being earned, whether it's more income or whether it's less income. No, it's not said like that. Nothing of this sort is said. So let's cross it. Next, pulse cultivation causes pollution compared to paddy cultivation. Yes, pulse cultivation does cause pollution because it decomposes in the soil, so soil pollution takes place. So yes. Next, pulse straw can be used to improve soil quality. Of course, when the pulse straw decomposes in the soil, it improves the quality of the soil. Yes, right point. Next, in the context of northern Indian agriculture, paddy straw has no usefulness. Now, this is an extreme word. Sentences having extreme words, according to the CSAT rules, we will not go for such sentences. We know that, we have done it in the first videos only, that any sentence having such extreme words as this, no, only, will not go for such sentences, right? And also, ये तो सही बात नहीं हुआ ना, that paddy straw के कोई usefulness ही नहीं है. यहाँ पर क्या बताया गया कि paddy straw and pulse straw. Pulse straw is much better than paddy straw, but this does not mean that paddy straw is not good. So this point is not correct. We'll cut it. Now let's go for the fifth one. Mechanized agriculture is the main cause for stubble burning. Nothing of this sort is mentioned in the passage. We'll not go for it. Let's cross it. So our right answer is 2 and 3. So our right code is C. Let's go with the next passage. In India, authorities always look to store the maximum amount of water in reservoirs during the monsoon season, which is used for irrigation and generation. So, in India, what happens during the monsoon season, during the 4 months of monsoon that we have, during those 4 months, they are the Indian government or the authorities tend to store water in the reservoirs so that it can be used during the summer months for irrigation and for generating hydroelectricity. Okay, so we know that, right? So जब गर्मी का मौसम आएगा तो ये सब यूटिलाइज हो सकता है. So during the monsoon season, 4 महीनों के जो बारिश होता है तो that rain water is collected, is preserved in the reservoirs to be used during the summer months for generating electricity and for generating and for also irrigation. Okay, so now what is happening is that the notion or a proper thing to be considered was that in the reservoir, a minimum amount of water is to be maintained so that excess rainwater can be stored, right? See, here it is written that there is space to store excess rainwater. In the reservoir should be kept below, the water level in the reservoir should be kept below a certain level before the onset of the monsoon so that extra space can be made for storing the excess rainwater and also for releasing the water. But the authorities of India, they decide that maximum amount of water in the reservoirs should be kept or maintained even before the close of the monsoon season, because to ensure greater electricity generation and irrigation. So if I just do a simple drawing, this is the reservoir maintained by the other countries. This is the reservoir maintained by our country. Okay? Now the water level in our country is here. The water level in their country is here. Because they have basic common sense, which we don't. So as a result of this, our authorities feel that keeping the water level at its brim will help in, generating electricity and for helping in the irrigation facilities. But actually, according to the rules, if water is kept here, excess rainwater can be stored. But this does not happen. So the basic thing that the author is saying, that in India during the monsoon season, water is preserved and it is kept till this level in the reservoirs, so that it can be used for generating hydroelectricity and for irrigation facilities. So, but which is not right, because water should be kept here for that purpose, so that that purpose also can be solved, and also for storing excess rainwater during the monsoon season. So if which point of this assumption matches with the points given in the options, we will just look for that. Okay, let's see which are the points. High risk involved in holding maximum water in reservoirs are due to our over-dependence on hydropower projects. Of course, right. We are taking a lot of risk in storing so much water in the reservoirs because we are overly dependent on these hydropower projects all the time. So yes, right. Storage capacity of dams should not be fully used before or during monsoon seasons. So the storage capacity of dams should not be completely used, which is actually happening. Because storage capacity, if it is completely used, we are not getting that space to store the excess water, right? So it should not be used. That is what is being said in the passage. This point is correct. Let's look at the third point. Role of dams in flood control is underestimated in India. Yes. Dams are sometimes playing the role of regulating water, flow of water. And sometimes they are playing the role of reservoirs. So yes, their roles are actually underestimated in India. So, correct. So all these points are right, because we know that dams are playing a lot of part, an important part in the country. So all of these points are correct, okay? So our right code is D. Let's go to the next passage. Economic liberalization in India was shaped largely by the economic problems of the government, not giving priority to the people or to the long-term development projects or objectives. As a result, there were limitations which caused a lot of consequences, such as jobless growth, persistent poverty, rising inequality, which again led to 4 important crises in the face of economy, such as agriculture, infrastructure, industrialization, educational constraints. Now for maintaining a sustainable economic growth, all these problems have to be solved. And for also ensuring development, right? Now how can these problems be solved? We have to find out that point. It is essential to rethink and redefine the economic role of the state in the quest for development. Of course, the state needs to rethink and redefine its role. Then only it can solve these problems and bring about a sustainable economic development in the country. Very correct. Let's go to the next point. India has not made effective implementation of its policies in social sectors, nor has it made any investments in them. Of course, it has not done such things. That is why all these problems have arisen. If it would have done investments and implementations, then these problems would have been wiped off. So yes, this is also correct. So our right code is both 1 and 2, that is C. This passage has another question. Let's go for it. With reference to the above passage, the following assumptions have been made. India's economy needs to be greatly integrated with the global economy so as to create large number of jobs and to sustain its growth momentum. Now in the passage, nowhere it has been said about global economy, right? Anywhere has it been said about global economy? No. We're talking about Indian economy, particularly about a country, not the whole world. So that point is not correct. We'll just cancel it. Simple. The points which don't go with the passage, we'll just cancel it. Nothing more than that. Let's look at the next point. Economic liberalization would cause large economic growth, which would reduce poverty, create sufficient employment in the long run. Now, would cause, of course. Now, if this would cause this, this would have happened. Now, this has not done it. So, this cannot be, so that is why this has not happened. If economic liberalization would cause large economic growth, which would reduce this. So, अगर ये ऐसा करता तो तभी poverty reduce होता, job employments होता, and everything would have been solved. But this did not happen, right? So we cannot tick it. This is also not right point. So we'll cancel it. So our right code is D, neither 1 or 2. Let's go to the next passage. Bank credit to the industrial sector. Now before going forward with this passage, I would just like to give you a briefing on bank credits and investments. We know as a citizen of India and as a member of the society that we all invest, right, on mutual funds and other investment sectors. So we all know that bank gives credit to investment sectors, as a result of which these investments rise. Now bank investments are shrinking, and now our country does not have a policy for the banks which are not running well. They can be closed down. Such kind of policies do not exist in our country. So that has caused a huge or humongous problem in the country. Okay, we know that, right? We have never seen any bank closing down or any authority coming and just closing down the bank. Yeah, तुम्हारा नहीं चल रहा है bank, पैसा नहीं है, you're not running well, just close it down. कुछ नहीं है, nothing of that thing happens. Any bank which is not running well still, it is running or continuing day by day, needing more and more capital. So that is causing a huge backdrop in the economy. So let's see what is being said in the passage. It was just a briefing I gave you related to the passage. Now let's read it now. Bank credit to the industrial sector has started shrinking. Its decline has been a serious concern as credit growth is essential to revive investment, which I have said that for reviving investment, credit is required. Okay. The problem's origins in the incomplete reforms of the last 25 years and institutional change that should have followed the 1991 reform should have been setting up of resolution corporation for banks. So a reform should have been done for the banks, that for closing down those banks which are not working well. But that did not happen. In a market economy with booms and busts, banks should be allowed to set up and fail. Today we cannot shut down. This is the main crux of the passage. We cannot shut down any banks which are not working well because we don't have that policy. Today we cannot shut down banks because there is no proper system to shut them down. Weak loss-making banks continue to need more capital. So this is the main crux of the passage that we are dealing with. So let's just go with the perfect rational and logical inference which is related to the passage. First point, Indian banking system is not able to help the country in its economic growth, which is completely wrong. Indian banking system always helps the country economic growth, so it is not going with the passage and it is not logically right. So we will not tick it, we will cross it. The second point, economic reforms that started in 1991 have not helped in improving economy to expected levels. Nothing of that sort has been mentioned here. They are just talking about the reforms that has not been taken place related to the banks. So such a point has not been mentioned. So a point which is not going with the passage, we will not go for it. Third point, India lacks the institutional mechanism to deal with the failure of banks. Yes, India does not have any policy or system which deals with the failure of banks. So yes, very good, this is a right point, because we do not have a policy or a system or a process that actually deals with the bank failures. We just let those banks continue working and run their operations. We don't have such policies. So of course, this point is correct and going with the passage. Fourth, encouraging foreign investments in our industrial sector is a good alternative to the sector's dependence on banks with credit. So anything related to the foreign investment has not been mentioned in the passage. We're talking about banks and why there is no policy or what should have been done regarding closing down the banks. Nothing related to foreign investment has been said. So again, anything which is not mentioned in the passage, we'll not go for it. We'll cross it. So our correct answer is 3. Let's go to the next passage. India has tremendous potential for solar energy. So we have a lot of potential for solar energy. We need solar energy and we have the potential for it, but fossil fuels is not the solution. Okay, we know that, right? Burning of fossil fuels creates a lot of air pollution. And pollution is a disastrous thing. Pollution creates a disastrous thing for every human being living on earth. Like we know for a fact that in Delhi what happened few months back, last year or the beginning of this year also, the air was so contaminated, it was so polluted that people were not able to even breathe outside. They were not able to go out, they were not able to breathe, they were always wearing masks just like the times during COVID. So if air is polluted and contaminated, it becomes very difficult to live. So burning fossil fuels that will create air pollution, that will create a lot of destructive things to the environment. So such things are not the solution for wanting of solar energy. So for fulfilling our needs for fulfilling our needs of solar energy, we can go forward with 2 things, that is for a gas-based economy, or we can go forward with renewable energy, right? The government has also gone forward with these 2. We will just look into the passage regarding that. India has tremendous potential for solar energy, right? We all realize that we have to stop burning fossil fuels because we cannot, that is not the solution. But certain renewable resources are still going through their cost curves and learning curves, of course, to get the required amount of output. The Indian government has strongly committed its targets of reducing the emissions by 33% by 2030. Now, the recent records have shown around 45%. That record is way back, according to way back 2020, because this paper is of 2020. So that percentage is of 2020. Now I think it's more than that, around 45% or more. If you want, you can get your facts clear from the net. And towards this, it has initiated a strong push towards a gas-based economy and also has invested heavily in renewable energy. Okay. So the government has created an initiative that it will be reducing all emissions by 33% by 2030. And it also will be going forward with an initiative towards renewable energy and also investing heavily on gas-based economy. Now what has happened is that the investments, the business houses that are going to be investing, they are not ready for investing. They're feeling a little scared because the technology is not ready for that reason. The basic thing is that. So the government has initiated that these 2 policies will be done, gas-based economy and renewable resources. But the main investment that is going to be coming from the business houses, they are not ready because the technology is not ready. That is the basic thing that is being said. Okay, so now let's go for the logical and rational inference from the points. India's commitment to reduce emissions by 33% is unlikely to be achieved. Now this point, unlikely, it is an extreme word. This is not correct. Unlikely is an extreme word. We will not go for this point, firstly because it is an extreme word, and secondly because this point is not going with the passage. It is not that it is unlikely to be achieved. No, India is achieving that target. It has progressed a lot and it is achieving that target, so no, this point is not correct. Let's cross it. India should import gas rather than invest in renewable resources. No, of course not. It should not be importing gas rather than investing in renewable resources. No, it will increase the cost unexpectedly. So no. Third, getting renewable resources to market too soon may be costly. We'll come back to that point. Let's go to the 4th one. India should put in more efforts in the exploration of natural gas. No, nahi bhai. What is being said that the government is creating initiative or has created initiative towards renewable energy and gas-based economy. So, And the government also wants to keep a balance between it. Okay, so we will choose a point which will ensure a balance between the two. The third point is ensuring a balance between the two, which is getting renewable resources to market too soon may be costly. So we need to take a little bit of time and then release the renewable resources in the market so that it does not become too costly for the people. So this point is correct and the fourth point is not. Okay. So our correct answer for passage 18 is the third one. Let's go for the 19th passage. Okay, we have another question for the same passage. Let's look at the assumptions made. Governments often provide inefficient and costly subsidies for technologies that may not be ready in the near future. Of course, it has been said already in the passage that the government is ready, but the business houses are not feeling confident enough or feeling scared to invest because the technology is not ready. So the point is going with the passage that the government does all the initiatives, does all the investments, even though the technology is not ready. Now let's go for the second point. India's commitment of reducing emissions by 33% by 2030 shall be on the basis of gas-based economy. No. Renewable resources ne kya? What will happen to the renewable resource? The government has done initiative. The government has given initiative towards both, right? Renewable resources, renewable energy, and gas-based economy. Both. Just 1 second, please. Right, the government has given initiative towards both. Here in the point, they are saying the government is focusing only on gas-based economy, on the basis of which the government will achieve this. No, the government is aiming at achieving this on the basis of both of these initiatives. So this point is not correct. So let's cancel it. Our correct answer is 1 only. Our correct code is A. Let's go to the next passage. Okay. Genome editing is different from genome modification. Genome editing typically involves finding the part of a plant. Now, genome editing is different from genome modification. So the difference has been clearly made to us from the beginning. Okay. The genome editing is completely different from genome modification. Both two things, genome editing, genome modification. Let's go forward. Genome editing typically involves finding the part of a plant, typically genome, that could change to render it less vulnerable to disease or resistance to it, certain herbicides, or to increase yields. And researchers use molecular scissors to dissect the genome and to repair it, which is a process that occurs naturally when plants are under attack from disease and can throw up new mutations that enable the plant to survive future attacks. Okay, what is genome editing? Genome editing is like the scientists use molecular scissors to cut off the injured or infected parts of the plants, or repair the infected parts of the plants so that the plants heal or are protected from future attacks or diseases. Okay, that is genome editing, and this genome editing is different from genome modification. We know that from the passage. What more is being said? This evolutionary process can effectively be speeded to examine up now that it is possible to examine plant genomes in detailed laboratories and create mechanisms through which relevant genes can be altered precisely. Okay. Now let's see what is being said. Genome editing does not require the transfer of genes from one plant to another, right? Because genome editing means what? Cutting of the injured part or infected part of the plant and then repairing it, right? So it does not require altering of the genes. So yes, this point is correct. Next, through genome editing, the chosen genes can be altered precisely in a manner akin to the natural process that helps the plant to adapt to the environmental factors, right? Through genome editing, yes, this alteration can be taking place, see, and create mechanism through which relevant genes can be altered. So through genome editing, with the help of a natural process, this altering thing can take place, which will enable the plant to adapt to the environmental factors. So yes, this point is going with the passage. So we will go for it. See, through genome editing, the part of the plant which is injured, it gets removed. Genes can be altered in a natural process with the help of which the plant is able to adjust with the natural environment. Okay? So both these points are going with the passage. So both these answers are right. So our correct code is C. Let's go with the next passage. Many people understand the connection between solid waste management and health in terms of the consequences of unattended heaps of dry garbage which become home for flies and other vermin. So people, we as human beings, we do understand the difference between solid waste and liquid waste. And heaping up of these waste should not be done, and we should be maintaining a proper garbage and sanitation facility. We know that, right? We should be doing all these things, but these things are not maintained at some places. However, there is another aspect that is not well understood, that is what happens when unscientific solid waste management combines with poor drainage and dumping of untreated sewage into drains which are meant to carry storm water during rain. So there are sewage pipes, there are drain pipes which carry storm water. Now, वहाँ पर भी due to lack of maintenance, garbage or slash गंदगी घुस जाता है. So as a result of which, a lot of blockage takes place, and the whole thing, sanitation facilities or the processes get destroyed. So that is what being said. But that is what is being said, that those kinds of things where pipes are separate for carrying storm water, one is carrying drain or sewage water. There also, if those pipes are blocked with garbage or other dirty things or solid waste, those things are actually causing a lot of infectious things and affecting the sanitation of the society, which leads to breeding grounds for mosquitoes and other infectious insects, causing more infections. The result is choked drains which are full of stagnant water. That is what I said, which are causing, which are becoming breeding grounds for mosquitoes, which are resulting in spreading of waterborne diseases. Okay, so what is the author saying? That we do know the basic difference between solid waste management, solid waste and liquid waste. So why to throw waste in the liquid pipes, in the places where liquid is to be passed? So when we are having two separate pipes for passing sewage water and rain water and another place for throwing or dumping the solid waste, then why are we throwing such things in the pipes? So why are we doing so? That is what the author is asking us, kind of indirectly through the passage. Because in many places it is being said that, or it is being seen that, although we have two separate pipes where one is carrying rain water and one is carrying sewage water, वहाँ पर भी solid waste डाला जा रहा है, and these pipes are getting blocked, and which is causing stagnant water. They are becoming breeding grounds for mosquitoes, and all sorts of waterborne diseases are taking place. So this is showing, or this is indicating towards a lack of maintenance of the sanitation facilities in the city or the country, right? So this should not be done. Solid waste जहाँ फेंकना है वहाँ पर फेंको, पाइप्स जहाँ पर रेन वाटर पास करना है वहाँ से रेन वाटर पास हो, जहाँ पर सीवेज पाइप से जो भी पास करना है वहाँ से सीवेज या रेन वाटर जो सीवेज जहाँ से पास होना है वो वहाँ से पास हो. तो everything has a separate way and separate place, so that should be maintained. Why to merge everything together? That is what the author is saying. So let's find out the right answer for, or the critical, or the right critical message for our passage. In India, the drainage networks are not separate for sewerage and stormwater. No, we have separate lines. The author is saying that we have two separate lines, but they are also blocked with solid waste, which is causing a lot of problem in the sanitation facilities. So this point is not correct. Urban local bodies do not have enough resources and legislative authority to ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा नहीं हो रहा है. Legislative authority, enough resources for waste management, ये थोड़ा ज़्यादा हो रहा है, and it is also not going with the passage. इतना तो नहीं बोला regarding legislative authority, ये waste urban local bodies. Nothing of this sort has been said. All these legal things or legal issues or legal terms have not been mentioned here. We'll just cross it out at the beginning only. Let's go with the simple or the simpler things which are just related to the passage. Easy and a cool way, right? Solid waste management should be integrated with maintenance of drainage and sewerage networks. Correct? We should be managing solid waste in such a way so that उसका भी maintenance अच्छी तरह से हो and sewage and drainage का भी maintenance ठीक से हो. So all three are maintained properly. So this point is correct. Bad management of solid waste and sewerage system by our municipalities is the reason for drinking water shortages in our city. This point is not right because we are not talking about drinking water. We are talking about waterborne diseases. See? We are talking about waterborne diseases. We are talking about other diseases caused by this lack of sanitation facilities or lack of waste management. We are not talking about shortage of drinking water in the passage. So, as this point is not going with the passage, we will just cancel it. Okay? So, this was our passage number 20 and the last passage of the paper 2020, of which the correct answer is C, which shows that we need to be having an integrated and holistic managed system where solid waste, drainage system and sewage pipes should be maintained separately and in an integrated manner so that no blockage or diseases take place. Okay? So our passage 20 is solved. We have got a right answer, which is C. And our paper 2020 is also complete. We have solved all our passages with clarity and ease. And also, I hope I have helped you and given you other perspectives and other ways of solving the paper. If you have other problems or any other issues, please contact us on our website. And our mentor is always live there, and you can contact us there, or you can contact us on our YouTube channel or on our Telegram channel. We are always there to help you and guide you. Please practice every day 10 to 15 passages of CSAT, reading comprehension. Try to solve them as I have solved with you. Just calmly and quietly just solve the passages. Don't take too much tension. Don't become anxious while solving the passages. Read the passage, read the question, and just choose the point which you think according to the author is the right option and which is going with the passage. Simple, basic things. And always just go forward with following the rules of the CSAT sections. Okay? Till then, I will come back again with another paper very shortly, and we'll be solving more passages together. We'll be discussing more passages so that before Prelims 2024, you're all set to give it and you are all set to give your best. So I'm ending this video here. This is the end of our session today. If you have any problems, please contact us. And we'll be meeting soon in our next video, Solving 2021. Till then, have a good day. All the best.